There's always that one national media voice trying to stir the pot when everything is finally started to settle. This time, the focus shifts to Caleb Williams and this lazy narrative that Ben Johnson isn't fully sold on him. Look, Bears fans have waited a long time to feel good about their team again, and now that they're on a 4-game win streak, out comes another round of speculation that frankly feels disconnected from reality. Let's just be real about it. Caleb is the guy. Period. The quarterback. The face of the franchise. He's not perfect, but he's the one they're riding with, and it's not even close to being a question inside Hallis Hall. So when someone like Tyler Dunn drops a line implying that the vetting process between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams is ongoing, it's hard not to roll your eyes. He says things like, "Time will tell if Williams is Johnson's guy," and that Williams must keep pace with Johnson, as if every single game is some secret audition. This isn't high school tryouts. This is the NFL. And in Chicago, this is a team that is fully invested in its rookie quarterback, building the scheme around him, letting him learn, fail, and grow in real time. That's not what a team does when they're unsure about their guy. Yes, Caleb's had some rough moments. Overthrows, missed reads, maybe trying to do a little too much at times. It's all part of the learning curve. But you can't talk about those mistakes without also pointing out the flashes of brilliance. The plays where he escapes pressure, extends it down, finds a guy like Swift downfield, and turns nothing into something. That's stuff you don't teach. That's instinct. That's upside. And more importantly, that's the kind of talent you bet on. Ben Johnson sees that. You can hear it in how he talks about Caleb, how he defends his development, how he breaks down the plays and explains the process. Johnson isn't trying to mold a quarterback to fit his system. He's adapting his system to enhance what Caleb does best. That's how you build something sustainable. That's how you lay a foundation for the future. Not by hedging your bets every week, but by committing to the long-term process of building up a young quarterback and trusting that the hard work will pay off. And let's not forget, Caleb is improving. It may not show up every week in the box score, but if you've been watching the games closely, you can see the growth. His pocket presence is better. He's processing blitzes faster. He's getting the ball out quicker, even if it's not always on target yet. But the footwork, the reads, the timing, all of it is trending in the right direction. And if you really watched the second half of that last game, you saw a quarterback who settled in, made adjustments, and gave his team a chance to win. Now, of course, national media outlets love drama. They thrive on controversy, especially when it involves a high-profile rookie in a major market. But in Chicago, the energy around this team has shifted. The culture is changing. The Bears are building something. So no, this isn't the time to question if Caleb is the guy. He is. And if that ever changes, if Ben Johnson and the Bears were truly having doubts, believe me, it wouldn't be whispered in an article. It'd be shouted from the rooftops. That kind of decision doesn't stay quiet in a market like this. But for now, the message is clear. Caleb is the guy, and the Bears are moving forward with him. That's not to say he's immune from criticism. He's not. In fact, criticism is a good thing when it comes from a place of honest evaluation. But what's happening now is just noise. It's people trying to force a storyline that doesn't match what's happening on the field or in the locker room. And speaking of what's happening on the field, how about that run game? That's the part of this team that's starting to find a real identity. 216 rushing yards from the running back room in the last game. That's not a fluke. That's a statement. DeAndre Swift has been electric, racking up 175 all-purpose yards. And then there's Khalil Manengai, who had his best game as a pro, 81 yards and a touchdown on just 13 carries. Even Roscoe Johnson got in on the action, breaking off an 11-yard run on his only carry. It's not just production, it's efficiency. These running backs are averaging over 6.5 yards per carry. That's not just about talent in the backfield. That's coaching. That's play design. That's the offensive line stepping up and handling their assignments. You're starting to see Ben Johnson's vision for this offense come to life. It's not about gimmicks. It's not about trying to trick the defense. It's about execution. It's about putting your players in position to succeed. In the last couple of weeks, that's exactly what's been happening. Ben Johnson said it best when he talked about how no one feels 100% at this point in the season. Everyone's banged up. Everyone's tired. But you show up. You put in the work. And you find a way to get it done for the guy next to you. That's the mindset that's taking root in this locker room. That's what Swift is living out every time he hits the field. He's not just running hard. He's running smart. He's patient. He's reading the blocks. And he's trusting the guys in front of him. And credit where it's due. The offensive line has stepped up. Theo Benedict, since taking over at left tackle, has made a noticeable impact in the run game. He's still got some work to do in pass protection, but his physicality in the run game has helped set the tone. Darnell Wright has stacked back-to-back solid games. Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney are holding it down inside. This group is finally starting to gel, and it's paying off in big ways. Even the receivers are doing their part. Luther Burden, for example, we all know what he can be as a receiver, but don't sleep on his blocking. You go back and watch the film, he's out there making real contributions on the edge, sealing defenders, springing plays. That kind of unselfish effort matters. That's what helps turn a 5-yard gain into a 30-yard burst. That's what championship-caliber football looks like. So when you take all of this together, the improving offensive line, the rising run game, the developing quarterback, you start to see the bigger picture. The Bears aren't just winning games. They're laying a foundation. They're building habits. They're finding their identity. And yes, there are going to be bumps along the way. Not every game is going to look pretty. But as long as the trend continues upward, as long as the growth continues, you have to feel good about where this team is headed. And that's what fans need to keep in mind when they hear the outside noise. National media doesn't watch every snap. They don't study the film. They're not in the building, hearing the coaches, seeing the development, feeling the vibe shift. They parachute in for a headline and move on. But if you've been following this team closely, really following, you know the progress is real. Caleb isn't just surviving out there. He's learning. He's battling. He's showing the kind of resilience and leadership that you want from your franchise quarterback. And the defense? That's a whole other story. For sacks, for takeaways, this unit is starting to ball. The pass rush that's been missing all year finally showed up, and the secondary is locking in. Guys like DJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon are stepping up, making big-time plays. And as much as this defense has been about grit and grind, now they're adding something even more dangerous, confidence. You can see it in how they fly to the ball. You can see it in the swagger. They're feeding off each other. They're making things happen. What's also become very clear over these last couple of weeks is that the Bears coaching staff has fully embraced a more physical, balanced identity. And it's starting to show up not just in stats, but in the way this team carries itself. You look at the tone being set on offense and defense, and you can feel that this team has turned a corner. It's no longer about just surviving and avoiding embarrassment. Now it's about imposing their will. It's about executing with purpose. And when you start stacking that mindset with results, it becomes something real, something sustainable. DeAndre Swift has been the engine lately, not just because of the numbers, but because of the tone he sets with every carry. The guy runs with vision, with patience, with explosion. And when your lead back is playing through pain, dragging defenders, hitting the hole with violence, that kind of effort becomes contagious. He's proving exactly why the Bears brought him in. And now, with Menengai showing he can complement that style with his own brand of power and suddenness, this backfield is no longer a question mark. It's a weapon. If they can stay healthy and keep getting that push from the line, the Bears might finally have a run game that defenses have to actually respect. And it's not just the run game. What we're seeing from the Bears offensively is an increasing sense of rhythm. That rhythm may not be sustained for 4 quarters yet. It's still a work in progress. But there are moments, real moments, where the offense looks cohesive. You see better sequencing in the play calls. You see smarter use of motion. You see plays designed to get guys open early in the down, taking pressure off Caleb Williams, allowing him to get into a groove. And when he's in rhythm, we all know what he can do. He's a playmaker. That's never been the issue. The challenge has always been about consistency. And that's where Ben Johnson has made his biggest impact so far. He's slowly building that consistency into the offensive identity. But we also have to keep it real about Caleb. As gifted as he is, he's still young. He's still figuring out when to pull the trigger, when to bail from the pocket, when to go for the deep shot versus taking the easy 5 yards. And sometimes that inner gunslinger gets the best of him. He wants the home run every play. He wants to make magic every time he drops back. But NFL defenses are too fast, too smart, and they're learning his tendencies quickly. That's why the next step in Caleb's development is about control. He doesn't need to lose the fire, but he does need to learn when to dial it back. That balance is the key to unlocking his full potential. And the good news is, you can already see signs that he's working toward it. What's made this even more promising is how Caleb handles adversity. When he throws a bad ball or has a rough half, he doesn't hang his head. He bounces back. He comes out sharper. You saw it just last game. That first half, not great. But second half, he settled in, read the field better, made some clutch throws, and if not for a penalty that called back a touchdown, we'd be talking about a completely different stat line for him. That's growth. That's progress. It's not always going to be linear, and it won't always be flashy. But it's real. And the fact that the Bears have won 4 straight during this learning process is a testament to how much has already changed. And then there's the defense, a unit that was once the weak link of this team, now becoming a legitimate strength. For takeaways, for sacks, pressure, disruption, hustle. That's what this group is bringing now, and it's a huge part of why this team is winning games. The secondary, led by guys like Kyler Gordon and DJ Edwards, is creating turnovers and locking down in big moments. You're seeing better tackling. You're seeing more discipline. And you're seeing a coaching staff that clearly has this group believing in what they're being asked to do. Guys like DeMarco Jackson are stepping up in unexpected ways. Maybe he's not going to be a cornerstone player, but when your depth pieces can come in and make plays, that's when you know your system is starting to click. Javon Dexter, Tremaine Edmonds, Jaquan Brisker, the entire spine of the defense is playing with confidence. They're not just reacting anymore. They're anticipating. They're attacking. And that's what separates a solid defense from a dangerous one. The Bears are inching closer to being that dangerous defense. What's even more encouraging is that the improvements are showing up across multiple phases of the game. Special teams is holding up. The penalties are down. The energy is higher. The communication on the field is sharper. These are things that don't always show up in a box score, but make all the difference when you're trying to build a winning team. And for a squad that started the year looking completely out of sync, the transformation has been impressive. Now, are they a finished product? Not even close. There are still holes. The offensive line still needs to get better in pass protection. Caleb still needs to clean up those high throws. The red zone efficiency has to improve, but they're addressing these things. They're working on them. And that's the difference between this Bears team and the ones from recent years. They're not just acknowledging the problems. They're actively fixing them, week by week, drive by drive. Ben Johnson said something that stuck out. When things go well, you go back to work. When things go wrong, you go back to work. That's the mindset. No highs too high, no lows too low. Just steady, focused progress. That's what builds real culture. That's what turns a young roster into a contender. And that's why this stretch of games has felt different. The wins aren't just flukes. They're not smoke and mirrors. They're the result of real growth and real execution. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling in the NFL world, and this one has fans buzzing from Philadelphia to Chicago. Sources close to team insiders suggest that Jordan MAILATA, the colossal human wall, known for his dominance on the offensive line, could be making a blockbuster move from the Eagles to the Bears. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the mere whispers of such a trade have already set social media ablaze. MAILATA, whose rise from Australian rugby league player to NFL standout has been nothing short of meteoric, has long been regarded as one of the most physically imposing and technically skilled offensive linemen in the league. His ability to protect the quarterback, open running lanes, and dominate defensive fronts has earned him respect across the NFL. And now, the rumor is that he's taking his talents to Soldier Field, where the Bears' offensive line has shown flashes of potential but struggled with consistency. Chicago fans are reportedly ecstatic at the prospect. Imagine the Bears quarterback feeling the same level of protection Philly has relied on for years. MAILATA's combination of size, agility, and relentless drive could elevate the Bears' OL to elite status almost overnight. Coaches and analysts speculate that if the trade goes through, it could reshape Chicago's offense, giving them a much-needed foundation to compete in a division that has been historically punishing. On the flip side, Eagles fans are bracing for the possibility of losing one of the most dynamic linemen in recent history. The speculation has sparked heated debates online, with some arguing the Eagles' offensive line could absorb the blow, while others fear a dramatic shift in the team's protective strategies for their star quarterback. Whether this is a masterstroke in the making or just another trade season rumor, the chatter surrounding Jordan MAILATA has NFL aficionados on edge. The thought of the human wall patrolling the trenches in navy and orange is enough to keep fans awake at night, eagerly refreshing updates for any hint of confirmation. One thing is certain. If MAILATA does land in Chicago, the Bears' offensive line could become one of the most talked-about units in the league, and the ripple effects across the NFC will be impossible to ignore. Rumor or reality, the MAILATA Bears story is the kind of NFL buzz that gets everyone talking. And in this case, maybe even dreaming of an unstoppable offensive front that could change the balance of power in the NFC North. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.